Chris Krok program on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. And we got a cold front that's hitting us now. It's going to go into the next cold front tomorrow, and it's going to get bad. So everything we're doing right now is talking, well, for the first half of the show at least, is going to be talking about getting ready for this thing and what you're doing. Can I tell you what my wife did? She literally said today, I'm not knocking her, but so don't hear what I'm not saying. And if I'm knocking her, I'll let you know too. I'm not, I can knock her. It's okay. Not good to do that, but she comes in today in the middle of the day. She goes, what should we get? And I'm like, oh no. She's like, yeah, people are getting all nuts, storing stuff up, getting all sorts of stuff. And you know what I just told her? We're going to talk about this part a little later, but I just told her, we're going to get whatever we need for whatever we normally do. We're just going to get. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to this or that. We're going to talk about stuff, though, because we're going to have, I think, 3 to 4 days of below freezing. I almost said below zero, no, but below freezing weather. And that is bad for North Texas because a lot of our pipes and homes are not designed to be sustainable in the very cold weather for long periods of time. So this is going to be interesting once again to have us strap on our cold hats and deal with this. Now, the grid is the big story that everybody's worried about too, because as you all know, we had to go through a crisis with our grid, a near total meltdown 2 years ago in February. And the governor came out today, this is probably going to surprise you, and said, we feel very good about the status of the Texas power grid and ERCOT to be able to effectively and successfully ensure that power is going to stay on throughout the entirety of this storm episode. Dude, if you say that and there's problems, you're in big trouble. Right? Woo, woo, woo. And then the Pablo Vegas, the new head of, you don't want to say Berga. That's not a good thing to say. That's not a good thing. That's I'll just let that go. Vegas said, he's the new head of ERCOT, said the grid is better prepared to deal with cold weather than ever before. The grid is better prepared than it's ever been, in part, particular as it relates to cold weather events like this approaching. So basically what they're saying is we have been doing inspections since the law passed a year or two ago about making sure that there's insulation around the pipes of these power plants so that they don't freeze up. One pipe freezing in a natural gas plant can just take it offline. So there's a lot, as you can imagine, a lot of intensive work being done over the past couple of years on some of these plants. They're not done inspecting them all, but they've done a bunch of them, and they're confident. It's quite different, they say, though, on NBC5's coverage of this today. Quite different than the 2021 storm. It's not expected to have the same amount of precipitation or cloud cover. Why are they worried about cloud cover with our grid? Because Governor Abbott and the Texas Republicans have allowed us to have solar and wind supplant, to really take over 33% of our grid, and that is why we almost collapsed. Solar was almost at zero, and wind was almost at zero during this historic storm we had 2 years ago, which is why it should never be part of the baseload power. But they say that we will not have cloud cover or heavy precipitation like before, which would hamper solar energy production. Thank goodness. If the sunshine, our power stays on? Oh, thank you. I'm so excited. That's our plan in Texas, to hope for sunny weather. All right, I want to ask you a few questions on this. As Dwayne would say, a few questions. And by the way, we are also likely to break a winter electricity demand record next week. We're looking at Sunday through Wednesday being under below freezing. Can I tell you what else happened today that really peeved me off? I look outside and go, the plants that I staked down blew off. The covers blew off my stupid plants. I spent an hour out there in hell putting those stupid things up, and then like half of them were blown off today. I'm like, you bleepity bleeps. Yeah. We'll talk about getting your house outside and inside ready for this as well a little later on the program. But do you trust the power grid? Even if our governor in ERCOT says, oh, it's fine, don't worry, oh, it's fine. They did start us on a weather watch early. They started a little early. And so do you trust the power grid? And are you concerned about it? I don't trust it. I'm concerned about it, but I am not changing my power usage. Because we don't live in a third world country. We're not in Somalia where the Houthis say, oh, blah, 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 click, 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 and their power's out half the day on most days because they live in a third world country and we don't. So do you trust the power grid and are you concerned about it? And will you be lowering your power usage to help keep our grid from becoming overloaded? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Stephen G. saying on Facebook Live on the Chris Krok Show Facebook page, you go to @Chris Krok Show. That's @Chris Krok Show. Click like, click the public figure, click like, and scroll down. You can watch me live. See if I have a third eye, for example. But Stephen saying my pipes are more covered than I am. I'm not sure if I want to explore that. But do you trust the power grid? And are you concerned about it? Will you be lowering your power usage to help keep our grid from becoming overloaded? And I want to hear this one, too. What do you set your thermostat at when it gets this cold? Well, we're not this cold yet, but cold. I actually go up higher on it. I go up higher on my thermostat when it gets cold, like it's going to be, and it's already started to get. We've been wussified by living in the great state of Texas, the best state there is. And it gets colder, and I get more wimpier. So it needs to be hotter in my home. And by the way, isn't it awesome? We'll talk about this later, but isn't it so awesome to find out that natural gas is up 400% right now? So that means our natural gas bills can be... I mean, I saw the one that just came in the other day. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So get prepared. Prepare to receive the royal bone, as it were. And what are your plans if the power goes out? What do you plan on doing if the power goes out? I love that one. I love asking you that one because I have some schemes, some ideas, as it were, and I would love to hear what your plans are if the power does go out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, in the 72 or 84 hours, depending on who you ask, of sub 32, below freezing temperatures. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. What do you set your thermostat at when it gets cold? And what are your plans to do if power goes out? And do you trust this grid? Are you concerned about it when we are as we approach this horrible cold weather coming in? And will you be lowering your power usage to help do your part to keep the grid from collapsing? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. The grid operator says they expect wind turbines and solar panels to produce ample electricity during peak demand. Oh, see, it's not snowing and it's not going to be sunny. And there'll be some wind blowing, so we're going to have power. Oh, isn't that amazing? Isn't that great? Oh, I love that. Okay, coming up next on the Chris Krok Show, I'm going to tell you what my plan is if power goes out. First thing is to panic. All right, that'll be the first thing I do is to panic. Stand by. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I will be telling you how many people supposedly died in a bad storm a couple years ago and why that number that you keep hearing is a lie. It's not true at all. It's totally inaccurate. Next. Here's the questions for you. What do you set your thermostat at when it gets cold? Do you trust our power grid? Are you concerned about it? Are you going to be lowering your temperature? Lowering your temperature. Are you going to be lowering your power usage to keep our grid from becoming, quote, overloaded? And what are your plans if the power does go out? 800-288-WBAP, two lines open, 800-288-9227. I do not have a generator. I would like one, but I don't want to spend $2,000 or something or whatever on something that I won't use but every 5 years, and it sits in my garage. That's why I still haven't got one yet, because I can't justify a day or two or three. And by the way, we never lost power in the Great Storm 2 years ago. And I think it's because we're in a certain area where the grid is kind to us, where something exists in our area, and nobody knows what it is. We have all sorts of speculation, but our neighborhood did not lose power. Cupping, we had power. All right, let's go to Fred in Garland. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. Hey, Fred.
Hey, Chris. I love your show, first of all.
Thank you very much, and I do too. Thank you.
Hey, you mentioned paying $2,000 for a generator. Well, I'll tell you what, waiting about 5 years or maybe sooner, that the prices will double. It's like a little small investment, but put that aside. After last year, 2 years ago when everybody froze up, and plus the things going around in the world with, we got hit and the electrical grid goes out. You combine all that. I spent like $2,000, 13,000 kilowatts. I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and I added a diaphragm so I can hook, for natural gas. I installed that myself for like $100. Now I got tri-fuel. I can run gasoline, propane, or natural gas. I don't put no gas in a gas tank. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dude, you're like an animal on this. I need to be your neighbor so I can take notes from you.
Well, hey, call me anytime, and I'll tell you what I know. And I bought an American-made generator, and it's portable. It weighs a ton, but it's got wheels.
Yeah, how much was it? How much was it? And how much can it power? Because I'm always like, they're like, oh, it'll power so-and-so watts. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So tell me how much you spend on yours and how what it powers.
I think I spent like $1,900 for it. And it's 13,000 kilowatts. So I'm not, I don't know that either like you, but that's a lot of juice. I mean, I can run my AC unit. I can run the two refrigerators. I can run the stove and some other things.
Okay, that's impressive. Stuff. Now, that's okay. What brand did you get for your generator? Because I was looking at a Honda.
You know what?
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Right by it, but it's.
Are you worried about the grid?
Honda. It's 20 horsepower. It's got electric start. And it's also got pull start in case the battery...
Dude, all right.
Connect the battery.
I want to get your email off the air. We're going to swap details. I'll take a look at what you got. So tell me, are you worried about the grid? Do you trust it? And what do you plan to do if the power goes out?
Well, I can't trust anything anymore. We get lied to all the time. I don't know if the grid holds up. And if it doesn't, then, just go to plan B. But... what am I going to do if the power goes out? I mean, I'm going to crank up my generator, and my neighbors know I got one. I says, hey, you can use some juice if you need it, but you're going to have to buy your own extension cord.
There you go. Hey, where are you from? You sound like you're from the Midwest.
I'm from Milwaukee, but
I knew it!
Down here in 83.
I knew it. You sound like you could be from the south side of Chicago.
No. Well, people up north pretty much they got that northern accent, like A.
Yes, exactly.
We're so close to Canada.
Yes. Well, let me. Okay. And are you going to be lowering your? What do you put your temperature at during the cold storms like this when they're asking us to conserve power? What do you put your temp at?
Well, I got gas heat, so anyway, but like 75, 76, 74.
I would put it at 75, 76 if I wanted to, but that would be baking me out of my house. But each house is different, and each thermostat and each unit's different, so it doesn't even necessarily compute per, you know what I mean? Your 75 might be 70 for me, but I appreciate your call, Fred. Great call. Look forward to your next one, okay, brother?
Hey, if you want my email, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, stand by. I'm going to put you on hold. Garrett, get his email so I can pop him an email off here and swap some notes. Okay, let's go to Chuck and McKinney. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM.
Good evening. I was going to respond to the first question about thermostats. I live in about a 5-year-old house. I can maintain 55 degrees for a pretty good amount of time if I keep there with no heat. So 55 is where we stay, just to save if we had to conserve. Normally it's on 60.
So oh my gosh, dude, are you an Eskimo?
No, we just like the house to be cool, and if it gets too unbearable, we'll bump it up a little bit. But we like it. We like it to be in the 60 range, something like that.
You know what, though? I will tell you, I put it down to 66, which is cold for me, because I get real hot in that bed. It's so stupid. It doesn't matter what you wear. You have to have an air conditioner under your sheets or something. It's so ridiculous.
We set the one in the bedroom at night at 53.
What is your plan if we have a meltdown here? I'm glad you're going to be doing your part by freezing while I'm staying warm in my house. But what is your plan if you lose power?
Well, we're fortunate because we're on the grid with the Baylor Scott White Hospital. So we're on the same grid.
See, I think that's what happened to us.
And up on 380 and on 380 and
over by there, yeah.
Force, yeah. So we're on that grid. We only lost power literally last time over the 2 years ago. We only lost power for about half an hour one day.
See, we didn't lose it at all at mine.
Yeah.
I must have like a government installation, an underground bunker or something by my house. I appreciate your call, Chuck. It was real fun to talk to you, brother. Thank you very much. Stay warm. All right, we have Ken in Arlington, and we have an anonymous person. Right? Is that what it says? Or no, his name... Oh, Sam. Yeah. You don't have to put anonymous, so you can just say his name there, Sam. Anyway, Sam worked on the grid. Holy crap, in 2021. We're going to talk to both of you guys next. I'm going to pop Sam on first because, dude, he worked on the grid. That is next on the Chris Krok Show. Plus your call. What do you set your thermostat at when it gets cold, which it will be for 3-4 days, very cold? And what are your plans if power goes out? And will you be lowering your power usage to help our grid from becoming overloaded? And do you even trust this power grid? Are you concerned about it? 800-288-WBAP is our number. We've got 3 lines open. 800-288-9227 on the Chris Krok program. Chris Krok program on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. So a couple questions for you. What do you set your thermostat at when it gets cold? Do you have any confidence? Do you trust our power grid? And are you concerned about it? And will you be lowering your power to save, conserve power, conserve energy if they tell us to from ERCOT? I will not. I'll be living my life as usual, just the way I want to live it. And then this is Texas, y'all. This is absolutely, this isn't New York or LA or whatever. I mean, come on. And what are your plans if the power goes out? That's been my favorite question so far. What are your plans if the power goes out? Now, we had a listener who told me on Facebook Live, watching there on the Chris Krok Show Facebook page, at Chris Krok Show, CHRISK, okay, that he's got a generator. He's got one in his house that's like $12,000. I'm like, dude, he's probably got one of those ones where it's, part of your house, like it's in the backyard, like your HVAC unit is, sitting there and it just goes and it runs smoothly. I would love that. Not my budget right now, but I would love that. All right, let's go to, and again, the questions are, what are your plans if the power goes out? Where do you set your thermostat at when it gets cold? And do you trust our power grid? Are you concerned about it? And are you going to turn your power usage, lower it if you need to save the grid, quote unquote? I will not. Let's go to Sam, who has called in. He worked on the grid. Sam, you worked on the grid in 2021 when the near collapse happened?
Yes, I did.
Wow, dude. I think you're kind of a celebrity around here. We'd like to get your autograph after we're done here. Talk to me. What do you have to say about what happened then versus where we are at now?
Well, the question is the grid is a balancing act. We have to keep it at a certain frequency, and what happens is breakers trip if it goes down too far or whatever. So there's a mandate. We have to respect ERCOT as well. But the problem is the generation to demand on power when that, like I said, it's balancing. We have so much growth in Texas, and they've mothballed a lot of coal plants.
And that's a big mistake, right? That was a big mistake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, when we were trying to generate power, or we can't generate power, we're deregulated. So there's a middleman in there. They do T&D. That's the 75% of the grid, Encore or that company. And then you've got all these other generations that generate and provide to the grid. When those fall off and there's high demand, then you have an issue. So that immediate shedding has to happen to keep the grid stable. And like that other person said, main feeds like the hospitals, first responder and all that will stay up.
So there's a reason why people like me, he lost power for 30 minutes once. I never lost power. I am definitely near something in my neighborhood.
Yeah, you're on a feeder that's got something that has higher precedence that has to be there for life.
Yes, I'm just going to say I do think it's because I moved there. I live there.
Yep, and that's kind of what happens. The grid's pretty good. I haven't been on it for a year. I went to a different company. That's why I'm calling it anonymous.
But what kind of work did you do on the grid, if I'm asked, without getting? I mean, I don't want you. I'm not trying to out you. I'm trying to learn from you.
Right. Well, I touched many groups, not just one. So we had communications. We had data, all that information.
Okay, yeah, because that's where you're talking about the whole spread of everything, all sorts of things at once, having to go this way, that way, to balance it out. So,
exactly.
By the way,
controls and SCADA and all that. Yep.
Do you agree with me that one of the big reasons now, I acknowledge completely, as we all do, that explosion of population is one of the biggest reasons why the grid's stressed and overloaded. But the before that, to me, the biggest thing is like you said, shutting down coal. Basically, to me, it's outsourcing our baseload power to wind and solar, which are not reliable and failed in the 2021 near grid collapse. And if we didn't rely on them, to me, our baseload should not have anything to do with wind and solar. It should be in addition to that. Talk to me about that.
It's Mother Nature. I mean, you got things that you can't control. You can't always have wind. You can't always have the sun. And the sun only goes during the day, as far as I know.
Are you sure about that?
Yep. So you got some issues there. Now, natural gas plants, on these wells, as fast as they were pumping it out of the ground, it was freezing up. So did they, winterize those? Did they get them ready?
That's part of what they were supposed to do with some laws passed. But I saw, and I love talking about this over the years, Wall Street Journal grid that showed showed wind and solar collapse, went to almost 0% of their production, and then the natural gas went up, I think 5, 10, or 12, or maybe even 20 times what it normally does, because it can crank it up to 11, as it were. And coal went up nicely, but it's not as much of an explosion in the natural gas supply.
Right.
So talk to me about that.
Well, you've got the coal, the mandate EPA, it has sulfur and they have to put scrubbers and it's too expensive. That's why a lot of the generations are getting away from that. Natural gas, they run them to 80% during that storm. They couldn't run them to 100% because they asked for a forgiveness, to run them higher up, but they couldn't do that. So you got some politics playing in there too, which is kind of scary. But from a generation, they should be going to other energy. You're, like you said, the baseline for solar and wind shouldn't really play into that. I mean, even though it can add to it.
Yeah, add to it, but don't but don't be part of it, and that's been the big problem, in my opinion, beyond the explosive growth. And then the other thing is, once you mothball coal plants, as you talked about, they're very hard to reactivate. The parts are intricate. There's tons of them, and once you try to restart it up, there can be a lot of problems. It can be cost prohibitive. That's the other thing I read not too long ago.
Yeah, usually when they're mothballed, they're decommissioned. They
yes.
Back.
I thank you very much for your call, and I look forward to you calling in on other instances with the grid and stuff. I appreciate you very much. Glad you were listening and called in, Mr. Anonymous. He worked on the grid in 2021 when we had that near collapse. Thank you.
Chris, love your show, man.
That means a lot to me, man. You sound like you're a smart dude, so that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I mean that.
All right.
Take care, man. Thank you. Yeah, see, when I hear smart people like that, or I hear doctors or what do you call it, lawyers or some of these other pilots, I'm like, oh, you make me feel good. I'm like, oh, you like me? Oh, you like the show? Oh, I must be kind of smart then. Let's go to Ken in Arlington. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM.
Hey, Chris, I think that wind and solar, I think we should use that when like during the summer when the wind's blowing and all that other stuff. Try to bottle that energy and store it someplace to where when these winter months come on, we use that energy that the solar and the wind has built all summer long and use that to back up our power grid. I don't think we should rely on the wind and the solar 100% all the time. I think
we shouldn't rely on wind and solar at all as far as the base load, the 100% that we normally count on, because what happens is when it's not sunny or windy out, we're screwed. So it should only be above the baseline. But I wanted to tell you, the battery power, Channel 8 did a piece on this today, the battery power and storage, it was 1/10 of what it is today, but it still it only is enough to power the current battery, the batteries we have for this electric garbage to store is only 700, enough to power 700,000 homes, which, I mean, that won't even get the city of Fort Worth. Well, it might get the city of Fort Worth, but, so that's good, but we're still not there at all. And to me, it's still all that kind of stuff is a road to nowhere. The road to working and to have it is to have nuclear, in my opinion, natural gas. And if you got coal, keep it going because you can crank that up. And we need to have more natural gas plants in the state of Texas. I think that's unequivocal. Ken, I appreciate your call. News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. All right, coming up next, I want to talk about what we should buy. What should we buy right now as people are acting like nut jobs and stocking up like the apocalypse is coming right now? I'm being serious. Supplies at a hardware store or grocery store, etc. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Chris Krok on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. We're talking about generators and temperature in your house and conserving it and what you're going to do on that. But I also wanted to go to another thing as well. And my wife asked me today, what should we buy as people are preparing? Let me just tell you what usually happens. I am shocked to see that it also seems to happen here. I don't think it's as bad as Atlanta when I was in Atlanta doing a show there. In Atlanta, it is as if the entire metropolitan area is going to build they're all coming together to build one massive piece of French toast. And for some reason, they want to buy tons of eggs, tons of milk, and tons of bread. I don't know what the heck is wrong with you. Why do you want to build a big piece of French toast when it gets cold? I don't know. Now I need some help down here. Look, to me personally, my wife's like, what should we get today? I'm like, honestly, the only thing I need is whatever our groceries are that we need for the next several days, because, we don't go grocery shopping every day, hopefully, please. It feels like it, but, whatever we need for groceries, we get that today or tomorrow. Other than that, I simply, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, I got to go to Home Depot and get a 5-gallon bucket, as per my buddy, Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, Saturday afternoons from noon to 2. And he came on last night and he told me about, what he recommends for the house. And for me personally, it's just I got to get a 5-gallon bucket to put over my hose bib that comes up, because the ground emanates warm air or warmth, and it traps in the bucket, but then also you should wrap it up still. That's if you have something coming out of the ground like I do. I have one in the front, one in the back. If you have one in the house, you can get a thing at the store to cover up the one at the house. If you leave it open, you're screwed. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to have a plumber. You're going to take a number. You're going to be 500th in line. But what are you getting to stock up? What are you stocking up on groceries? Are you stocking up, I should say, on groceries or supplies? And what are you making sure that you have plenty of for when this storm hits? I saw a firewood store, or what do you call it, firewood place. They're like sold out in Garland. They're going to be or something. Can I tell you, when we went through the snowpocalypse 2 years ago, if you remember, people that had, you guys were calling me and I was calling you. We talked about it all night for days and days and days. Firewood and or I have a gas fireplace. It doesn't make a difference. People that had no power, they said it didn't even make a difference. You're warm within 5 feet. After that, you got nothing. You get the royal bone. You got nothing. But nonetheless, people are stocking up on firewood. So are you stocking up on groceries or supplies, and what are you making sure you have plenty of for when the storm hits? What specific groceries or things are you stocking up on? And are you stocking up on booze? Some people are doing that, apparently. I guess you want to stand and drink your way through the ice-pocalypse? I don't know. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Sandra in Garland, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM.
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you, Sandra?
I'm perfect. I love your show. I've talked to you before. We have the same warped mind about the illegals coming over one night. We had a nice talk about it. So
excellent. Thank you.
I'm calling you back because I love to talk to you.
Me too. I love talking to you. I remember you. I want to see you on there. I'm always like, I'm happy. It's going to be a great caller.
Listen, my thermostat, I live in a townhouse, and I can't do, generators and stuff like that to it. So, other than, portable. So, my thermostat sets at 71. If I get cold, I turn it up to 73. I don't care about everybody else. I want to be comfortable.
Are you, what floor are you on? Are you if you're on that high floors, you're set.
No, I have a 2-story townhouse.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm sorry. You said a townhouse. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. Bedrooms, bathrooms upstairs, living room, and all that crap downstairs. So
you don't have anybody below you. I misinterpreted that. Thank you. You're right.
No,
go ahead.
I don't.
That we're aware of. There's nobody below you.
Better not have. Live for this. They're not alive. Oh, anyways.
Yes.
We got a heater, buddy, and it's a propane heater. You can use indoors.
Interesting.
It's in the camping section at all the camping stores, and you can hook up different sizes of propane to it. And we started stockpiling bottles of propane. I have this little wooden chest. The heater's in there. The propane tanks are in there.
You're smart.
Kind of stuff.
How much is what do you call it, the heater, buddy? How much does that cost?
It was like $80, $85.
Dang! What does it heat up a room?
Yeah, it does a room. What I do is I just close off downstairs. I just hang a blanket over my stairwell, and it's enough to keep the upstairs warm.
Just keep the blanket hanging from away from the heater, buddy.
Well, yeah, of course. But
you don't want a heater buddy having a relationship with the blanket.
Yeah, I know. Well, I learned when we lived overseas to put blankets over your windows and your window sills.
Smart.
To help keep it, some of the cold out.
All right. Are you getting any stupid ingredients? Are you panicking and getting stupid ingredients? We got like 15 seconds. Go.
No, I just bought some bread.
Remember, you got to get eggs, bread, and milk because you're going to make a massive piece of French toast at your house, okay?
No, we're not.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate your call. Always a good one. Appreciate you very much. All right. Tell me your preparations for the storm. What kind of stuff are you stocking up on? Groceries or supplies? What are you making sure you have plenty of for when the storm hits? What specific groceries or things? Are you stocking up on booze or whatever? What are you doing? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. By the way, what are your plans if the power goes out? How are you preparing if it gets real cold and the power goes out in your house? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. I'll tell you specifics on what people are stocking up on ahead of this Arctic plunge, according to Fox 4 and some other news outlets, next.